Control your ego so the ego doesn't control you. It's a great piece of advice from a badass of a man, the complete opposite, Chuck Holton, veteran Army Ranger, of Sheriff Scott Israel.
Well, I have to say, Grant, that is definitely the style of leadership that I was taught in the military, what we saw there from Jocko Willink. And so every time I see Scott Israel on rushing to the TV cameras, because, you know, he's never met a TV camera he didn't like. He's a politician more than anything. But every time I see him rushing to the TV cameras to A, throw his deputies under the bus, and B, deny that he had any culpability at all in this, but yet when I watched that show trial, that Orwellian 2 minutes of hate, as Ben Shapiro liked to call it, on CNN the other night, and watched him attack Dana Lash, and through her, the 5 million innocent members of the National Rifle Association who had nothing to do with this shooting, it just makes me sick. I mean, that is absolute. And again, the contrast there with what he's saying and then what his deputy is teaching in the mosques is kind of mind-boggling.
You know, it's not just the military that teaches great leadership, and clearly the military does a great job of teaching leadership skills. But, you know, in business, too, you can have great leaders. And I'm always trying to become a better leader. I'm not a great leader. I always want to be improving. But I'll use an example. I had appointed somebody to a managerial position in a business that I had, and he was failing at it. And I said to him, I don't blame you. I said, I blame myself because I set you up for failure. I put you in a position that I didn't train you properly enough to handle. So the flaws that we're seeing, I'm going to help you fix them with my help, but it's on me because I put you in that position. That is not what Scott Israel is saying at all. And you know, whether it's in business or whether you're in the military and your sergeant says to the grunt, hey, I put you in a bad position there with the call that I made, I'm taking responsibility for it. This sheriff takes absolutely no responsibility for the actions of his men and women, and he needs to.
Yeah, that's right, Grant. And now we're seeing the Florida Attorney General coming out and saying, look, there's more information that you're not hearing about this. And I can tell you that it doesn't look good for Sheriff Israel. I would venture to say, if I had to guess, that Sheriff Israel will not be the sheriff much longer, and especially if the governor of Florida has anything to say about it once the investigation is done. But the bottom line is, if you're the guy at the top, if your name is on the door, as Sheriff Israel is fond of saying, that makes you responsible for the things that happen in your department. And for him to just throw that, pass the buck, is a real sign of weakness in mind, and a sign of, not only that, but I mean, you look at the way that he said, gosh, even if you have a firearm, run, hide. You know, I mean, that is indicative of a guy who was he inculcating his deputies to be timid, to be cowardly? Now, I mean, who knows? But I would say that the investigation will certainly find out.